right. Hello and welcome. Today we're going to be talking about, do you need an LLC for your online business? Thank you for joining me. If you're new here, my name is Taylor Darcy from Think Legal, where I help you create the business of your dreams. So welcome. If you're joining us for the first time, make sure you leave a comment and let me know where you're joining me from and what type of business you have. I'd love to get to know you better and help you with your business. We go live Monday through Friday, except for holidays at 11 a.m. So join me live to get your questions answered and help for your business. So before we dive into whether you need it or don't need it, let's give you a little bit of background on understanding what an LLC is. An LLC is a limited liability company. It's a separate entity that's provided to you, or that's allowed, I should say, by the state. Okay, there is no such thing as a national LLC. You are an LLC within the state in which you form it. Okay, now you can do business throughout the United States. We're not going to go a ton into detail. So in that context, you have to remember that an LLC is not something that it's just a gimme. Like it can be revoked. It can be taken away from you if you're not careful. And so you want to keep that in mind as you're going through this. Now, those instances are rare, but you can't use an LLC for illegal gains. That's the fastest way to get it taken care of. So if you're trying to start an LLC to escape liability for something that you've already done, number one, it won't work because it needs to happen. The liability has to attach after the LLC. But number two, they'll see right through that. They'll pierce what's called the corporate veil, or in this case, the company veil, and come after your personal assets. So that is a very brief overview of an LLC. Some of my other videos on the channel, feel free to search to talk more in depth about what an LLC. Let's keep going though. So an LLC gives you limited, and I do mean to emphasize that. Let's just go to this and say limited, okay, liability protection, not eternal liability protection, if you will. So that means that you're limited to the assets that are contained in the LLC as opposed to your personal assets. So that's one of the questions that you got to ask yourself. Do you have personal assets that you need to protect from company debts? Okay. So in some instances, that answer is no, you don't. Like if you have no house, you have no 401k, you have no other types of assets that someone could potentially come after, then you don't necessarily need an LLC. But, okay, and here's the big but. That doesn't mean you shouldn't have an LLC, and we'll talk about that. So LLCs are, you get different opportunities for different tax treatments. It's a pass-through entity, which means the income comes directly from the LLC to your personal. So that's why it's called a pass-through. In a single-member LLC, it's considered what's called a disregarded entity. That's what the IRS calls it. I don't know why they call it that as opposed to a strictly pass-through. That's up to them. In a partnership, it is up to the partners to decide how it's split. So if you're an LLC that's going to be taxed as a partnership, then there's a different story entirely. What's unique about an LLC, and this is one of the reasons why I recommend them a lot, not all the time, some instances that's not true, is you can actually have the S corporation tax designation as an LLC, which changes your tax structure. We've talked a bit about S corporations on previous videos, just earlier this week or earlier last week. So if you have questions about how an S corporation works, tune into that video, check that out. Then, so here's kind of like, well, I don't have any assets and I don't really care about tax treatment that much for some weird reason. I don't know why, but okay. So we're just going to pretend for a second those things are true. How you are treated as a business is different. Okay. If you are John Smith Plumbing as opposed to Roto-Rooter, you are treated differently. For purposes that for business purposes, people treat businesses different that are business entities than they do that are individuals. I'm not saying better or worse. I'm saying different, right? Like when you're dealing with a business, it's a little bit different than dealing with the person. Okay. They seem to be more established. People like the fact that you've gone to the extra work. That's one of the reasons why the companies will do a limited liability company, is to get that business tax treatment. Some businesses will only do business with a limited liability company or I mean a formal business entity. So there's business considerations that don't fall underneath the legal considerations. So keep that in mind, that just because legally you may not need it, okay, you may want it in order to improve your business. The next thing that is important to think about, a business entity and its branding can have a huge impact on your business, okay? The reason why is because people like to do business with brands. People like to do business with Apple, Sony, so on and so forth. The reason why is because brands tend to be more established. People like established. They like knowing that you're going to be there tomorrow if something goes wrong. They like the security, the confidence. And so the more you can do with that, the more you can improve. So an LLC, and now don't confuse an LLC, please, and this is one of those important moments, okay? Do not confuse an LLC with the trademark. Okay, that is very, very important. Do not confuse those two. They are not the same. An LLC starts the branding process, but is not definitive of that. So you still have to get a trademark. You still have to protect your intellectual property. You cannot get an LLC and have it not protected federally with the trademark and expect to keep your brand. Home Depot, Apple, any company protects their LLC or their trademarks with as well as their business entity. This is just to get you started. This is just to where you're going to begin your business journey. Okay. So the reason for that is that one is statewide, okay? The other is federal. Okay. Trademarks are federal. An LLC is state. It's just how it's set up. There is no such thing as a national LLC. It doesn't exist, not in that respect. You can register in states as an LLC, but you cannot, you can register in other states from where you started your LLC, but there's no one federal LLC database or anything crazy like that. So that's your next thing. And then final thing, and this is, so a LLC shows commitment, and commitment usually equals success. The people that I've seen and have helped with their business that show the commitment by getting an LLC are a lot more likely to be successful. When they treat their business like a business and not just a hobby, then they're a lot better off. Okay. They go farther, they do more, they are better. Not because they themselves, it's the same person doing the work, but it's their attitude that makes a difference, right? You're investing in yourself. You're investing in your success of your business. Now, that doesn't say that guarantees anything. Please don't. I'm not saying that it's an absolute certainty that you will be successful with your business. But what I mean by that is that when you're talking about success in that context, you're no longer thinking of it as a side hustle. You're no longer thinking of it as, I'll do this till I find a job. When you take the time and energy to form an LLC and form it correctly, you are setting yourself up for success. You're treating it like a business, and therefore you're going to put the effort in to make sure that it's a business instead of just a side hustle or a hobby, that type of thing. So that's it. Does my online online business need an LLC? Depends on where you fall on all of these questions. Some instances, yes. Some instances, no. I'm not going to tell you need it if you don't need it, but do you want it? That's the next part. Do you want all of these benefits that go with an LLC? And that's the decision for you to make. If you have any questions or thoughts about it, feel free to leave the comments below. Let me know what your thoughts are. If an LLC has helped you build your business, or if you don't see there was a difference, I'd love to hear what you're thinking on the matter. So, well, until next time, have a great one. And don't forget to hit subscribe and like, and know we go live Monday through Friday at 11. Have a good one.